Hello everyone, welcome to this channel, New to Happiness. I'm so happy that you're here and thank you very much. My name is Ruti Lax and I'm a counselor and a therapist, and I especially work with highly sensitive people and people that are coming out or survivors of toxic and narcissistic relationships. And today I want to address a topic that one of my male clients asked me to talk about, and I'm very happy to do it. And I'm very grateful to him for telling me to address this topic in a video. And I want to talk about highly sensitive men. Okay, and I know that this is something that is not that common or not addressed, as I said, very often. And I want to address it in the following way. First of all, I want to talk about what it is like to be a highly sensitive man. What are the traits, or how does highly sensitivity look in men? That's one thing. Then I want to talk about the special difficulties and the challenges that a highly sensitive man has to deal with and has to deal with throughout his life. Afterwards, I want to talk about professional and occupational choices that highly sensitive men make, and what does it have to do with the sensitivity. Then I want to talk about relationships choices that highly sensitive men make, and at the end, I want to talk about solutions or tips or ways that highly sensitive men can lead a very happy and fulfilling life. So these are the things that we're going to talk about. First of all, I want to address the fact that highly sensitive men are exactly like highly sensitive women. Empath have to do with sensory sensitivity, intensity, very creative, very intelligent. Look, have to go through the world with this trait that makes them more sensitive to whatever is going on around them. They're part of the 15 to 20% of the population that are highly sensitive. And as far as male and female go, relating this trait of high sensitivity, it's a 50-50. Men are out there, highly sensitive men, exactly at the same number as highly sensitive women. There's no difference. What is the difference? The difference is the fact that being a highly sensitive male is a lot more difficult, in the sense that males are not expected to be sensitive. Women are in many ways expected or allowed to be more sensitive and more emotional and more of all of that stuff. And a highly sensitive man doesn't have this advantage or opportunity to be himself as easy as a highly sensitive woman. I'm not saying that highly sensitive women have it all figured out and that it's easy. Not at all. The difficulty exists, of course, but add to that being a male, and you can understand how difficult it is, and why many times being a highly sensitive man leads to bigger issues with loving himself, self perception, self love, as I said, and a very hard time accepting this trait in himself. And because of that, many highly sensitive men suffer from low self-esteem and many more difficulties with dealing with who they are and accepting who they are. Many highly sensitive men try to be somebody else, try to hide this trait from themselves and from everybody else. And that is a very difficult situation to live with and to deal with. It's exactly like coming out of the closet and saying you're gay. It's very hard to be brave enough, and first of all toward yourself and then towards the world, and accept and say it out loud that you're a highly sensitive man. It's not something that is trivial at all. And I salute and I really have to say that every man that I listen to here on YouTube, or just get to meet in my clinics or just in everyday life, that accepts this trait and that tells it to the world, that's even greater. I really admire. So what happens to this highly sensitive boy and then teenager and then grown man going through life with a high sensitivity? First of all, it really depends. I mean, it depends on the family environment and on the social environment that this kid grows in, and the country or the community or whatever else surrounds him, and how much acknowledgement there is, or acceptance there is, or even empowering, of course, of the sensitivity he gets to have in his everyday life. The younger, the better. But as this kid grows up and becomes a teenager, and as I said, later on, a grown man, if he didn't get it all, or got it in small portions, or whatever was going on around him, couldn't allow him to be the highly sensitive man that he is, the damage is very, very big, or very something that you can actually see in everyday life. And I want to address two issues, as I said before: what highly sensitive men choose professionally, and how do they choose their spouse or a significant other. And first of all, as far as professional choices go, highly sensitive men many times choose one of two ways of dealing with this. Either that they hide this sensitivity so well from themselves and from other, that they go and choose even a military career, or being something that has them being very, very tough and very outspoken and not sensitive at all, being CEOs and being presidents or whatever. I don't know. I mean, just being a leader, but not a sensitive leader, a leader that hides the sensitivity from himself and is very tough on the outside and very manly on the outside, but inside these wounds are doing something to the soul. And eventually, from what I see in my clinic, many times highly sensitive men get to a certain point or age in the 40s or 50s, is what I saw, that they break down, and that they have to acknowledge who they are, and and everything has to change, including their occupational choices. Another thing that highly sensitive men do many times is solitude, is either not even going to the to take a regular job or something, and just doing whatever they want by themselves, being independent, working here and there, and not being able to function in a normal way, or taking a job that is really something that you do by yourself, something that driving a truck, or being I don't know, fixing air conditions or whatever. It's something that you go into the house, you do it, and you come out, and you don't have to deal with people a lot. And you can see many men that are actually doing this kind of work, so that they are left alone, and that they are allowed to be themselves, and they get to have these breaks from life and from people whenever they can want to do, and they're a master of their own time in many ways. It could actually be something very creative that they choose to do. They can write books, they can be poets, they can be YouTube creators or whatever, but it has to be something that has to be very shield from the outside world in many ways, and that is another choice. In between, of course, there are many other choices that men who acknowledge their sensitivity and dealt with it, and got the right therapy for themselves or whatever, can choose. And then they can, of course, be anything, and they can actually be a president, or whatever, a very CEO or something, leading many other people with the sensitivity. And that is the greatest boss you'll ever have, of course. But that is something that needs processing and a lot of encouragement from the environment, and being able to love yourself and acknowledge who you are. And that is not something that everybody, especially highly sensitive men, gets to have. As far as choosing your partner, choosing your lifetime spouse, or either a man or a woman, I see that many highly sensitive men, many times, as I said, because they're wounded and they went through a process of hiding themselves from themselves, many times the person that they choose is not something that comes from within, and it's somebody that either it looks good to be with, or it seems like the right choice for whatever other reasons, and they're many times not happy in those relationships. And that is the good scenario. The worst one is going into narcissistic relationships with a woman or a man, as I said, and suffering and being a victim of abuse and everything, because this highly sensitive man did not think he deserves better because of who he is and how horrible who he is. Okay, so that is another thing that happens many times to highly sensitive men. Again, I meet them in my clinic, and I see how damaging this is and how awful it is. And I many times see these men after they broke down and after they decided to make a change, to get a divorce, or to not be uh, that person in the relationship that they were, and change who they are in the relationship, and starting to bring the true self to the relationship. And that is not an easy process, but a very, very grateful, a very great one, and very and I don't know, it's great to see it when it happens. So that's it for these are the things that I talked about up till this moment. I want to talk about solutions and the things that I think that can be done. But as I said, I talked about who the highly sensitive man is, how does he grow up, why does he hide himself from himself and from others many times, what are the professional and the personal relationship choices that he makes. And now I want to talk about what can be done. So first of all, through this video, I actually mentioned that a good supporting family that lets this little boy or teenager be himself, be the highly sensitive person who he is something that is a game changer and can make a very, very big difference. That's one thing, of course. If you're friends with this person, if you work with him or whatever, letting this person know that he can be himself and he can be sensitive is the greatest thing you can do for him. But if that didn't happen to you as a highly sensitive man, I highly, highly, highly recommend going to see and find a DBT therapist, somebody that will work with you on the two main channels of the dialectical therapy, and that is accepting who you are and thriving and making the changes that you want to make at the same time for living a life worth living, for being happier. And what does that mean? Accepting the high sensitivity on the one hand, acknowledging who you are, telling yourself that this is fine, it is great to be a highly sensitive man, and working through that with a therapist or with somebody that you trust, and or reading a book about it or whatever, and understanding how important this is for having a better life from now on. And the other hand, putting to work the exercises, the mindfulness, the stress tolerance activities, and the personal interpersonal effectiveness activities, and the emotional regulation that dialectical therapy has to offer. I have videos in my other channel for now about DBT, but I'm going to make some more here in English. And I think it's a life saving therapy that could really help many people, but highly sensitive people especially. And the highly sensitive men, I think, will really relate to this therapy, because it's a cognitive process and an emotional and spiritual one at the same time, and it can really get you results and change your life in a way that will make them a lot better, and will make it possible for you to bring the wonderful gifts that you have as a highly sensitive man to the world. So that's it for now, a bit longer than I used to usually make this video. It was really important for me to help this, to pick up the glove. I think you say that this client of mine threw my way, and it was very important for me to talk about highly sensitive men. Please join this very newborn channel in English. Forward it to anybody you think that will enjoy it. I know quite a few men, highly sensitive men. I have a few friends that speak English, and I think that will really enjoy this video. And that's it for now. Follow this channel, give a thumbs up to this video, and I'll see you next week on my next video. Thank you so much. Bye bye.